Good evening, folks. And today we're going to talk about something a little different. Yeah, this has a lot to do with how things went. Who won what and who won how. Well, let's start with how many traitors do you think ever won this war? Let's talk about these traitors. Well, Benedict Arnold was one. Let's talk about certain American traitors. Benedict Arnold, one of them. Or was he? He led an amazing charge at Saratoga that literally changed the tide and literally what created America to what it is today. But how did that happen? General Horatio Gates relieved him of his command on the first charge, which was what he did. But lo and behold, he got up off his horse, charged there on the second charge. Both sides were evenly shooting at each other. British poor on the left, Gates right there in the center. But Gates wasn't doing anything. Nothing was happening. Benedict Arnold said these words to the guys who weren't there. These guys are weak. We got these guys. All we gotta do is charge out there, move these guys forward, and shoot them down. General Simon, from the British, wounded. Already mortally wounded. Was partially wounded in battle. But sure enough, charge. Benedict Arnold takes a charge at them. He leads a charge without the consent of his superiors. He charges out there, gets on his horse, and charges at them. And literally shoots and forces everybody that was under Gates' command and helps them win the battle. And who gets rewarded for it? Not Benedict Arnold. General Gates. Even though Benedict Arnold challenged the troops that were there and forced them over. But he gets absolutely nothing out of it. But when Benedict Arnold defected, the British surely didn't think much of him. Why? Here's why. One, because they didn't really care for him much. Because they said this to him. And this comes from the high-ranking officer, General Lord Cornwallis, the one who was surrendered at Yorktown. From the surrender at Yorktown, when the French stopped reinforcements, when the French reinforcements stopped coming in when the French stopped all his reinforcements from coming in at Chesapeake, and literally everything was what fell apart there at Yorktown. He said to him this line. I'm gonna be honest with you, Arnold. You're very much of a traitor, even though you wear red right now. One, because you helped Americans win the war at Saratoga. They pretty much walked right through us, and you pretty much helped them win the war. Right now, we're on the losing end right now. We don't really have much going for us. But somehow, some way, Benedict Arnold evaded capture. Now, on to some other people. Sergeant John Riley, who was an American soldier. He evaded capture. Well, first he left the Americans because the way deserters were being treated, they were being slapped. They retreated down to Mexico. And sure enough, when that happened in Mexico, the Mexicans gave them an ultimatum. Either be shot or serve in the Mexican army. So he chose the Mexican army. And once they served the Mexican army, it proved to be a costly thing. He served the St. Patrick's Battalion. But the St. Patrick's Battalion really didn't serve well. Nothing compared to what the Americans had. Americans pretty much walked all over them. Those are two main people that are pretty much well known, other than all the Confederates. Now, if you want to talk about someone that's a foreigner, look no further than Colonel Charles Etienne de Guinée. He was a French colonel during the Napoleonic Wars, from when it first started all the way till 1814. Then he defected to the Dutch. Served at the Battle of Waterloo, where he became a major general. A great guy he was. But why am I talking about all these people? Plain and simple. Then you got Colonel Vindman, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. And then you have, who pretty much will turn to, not necessarily Colonel Vindman, then you have General Miley, Commander of the Army. The highest ranking officer of the whole entire army. Turned his back on Americans and warned the Chinese right before President Trump left office. He warned the Chinese of a nuclear attack that never even happened. That there is dangerous. You never warn your adversary of an attack. And he keeps doing it. Then he talks to a Russian general. General Vershov Yakovov warned him about the Chinese collusion happening. And same with them. But General Miley warned General Zhugenkai Li, which is a Chinese general, about a possible nuclear attack, saying we want to start a war with them. Explain to me how we're going to start a war, when the only way you can start a war is if it goes through the Senate. I'd just like to know how that happens. That there, you might as well just take Benedict Arnold out of the military history books here in the United States and put General Miley on there. Now Lieutenant Colonel Vindman doesn't face it, and now General Miley won't face any charges. Well, on the other hand, get this guy, Lieutenant Colonel Scheller, who demanded accountability for what happened in Afghanistan. And he gets relieved of his command. Why? Why does someone who demands accountability for what happened in Afghanistan gets relieved of his command, while Lieutenant Colonel Vindman questions authority of Donald Trump, who also demands accountability from Donald Trump, doesn't? Same thing, but different person. He's a Democrat. Questioning the accountability of a Republican keeps his job. But a Republican questioning the accountability of all these woke liberals and Democrats loses his job? Sad. I have a cousin who served in the Marines. And if he ever loses his job because of that, I'd be furious if he ever lost his job due to that. I'd be furious to the highest level of all levels if he lost his job due to that. Because he always told me he wanted to make a living. Once he told me he wanted to be a Marine, he told me that he wanted to be a Marine for a long time. At least 10 years he wants to be a Marine. And then possibly either be a firefighter or a police officer. So, that's how that works, is what he told me. Well, with that being said, I'm not going to get off here yet. There's something else I got to tell you about General Guinée. General Guinée was a cavalry colonel for the French. Then became a cavalry general, a major general for the Dutch army when he defected. Guinée also proved to be a strong factory for the French. He ended up making Napoleon look weak at Waterloo. He held the Dutch to a strong travel. If you look at the casualties, 61,000 casualties compared to 63,000 casualties. Not really sure what the actual number is, but I actually did some math and counting. I think there's actually more casualties than 61,000 for the Allies during the whole entire campaign. If you look up the Waterloo campaign, there's a lot more than 61,000 if you do the order of battle campaign per each regiment or division, how you add that up. Per each side, you'll see KIA, WIA, which KIA means killed in action, WIA, wounded in action, and MIA, missing in action. You'll see all those numbers added up there. If you add all those up, there's definitely a lot more than 61,000 there. And I'll do the math here some other time. Well, with that being said, I'm out of here. Peace. And we'll get back with you a little later. Hit the like button, subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. I'll get back with you whenever the next time is. Peace.